Hello, my Greek Islanders. It's Maria here. Welcome back to the episode dedicated to the island of Astypalaia, which, because we had so much to say, we had to split into two parts. Now, this is part 2, so if you have not yet listened to part 1, it's probably best that you press that pause button and go and listen to the first part, where we touched on a lot of key information you will want to know when you visit. For example, how to get there, where to stay, transportation options, and the beaches. So once you've heard it, come back for that tad bit more of info and surprises in part 2. Now, I won't keep you any longer. Let's play that intro and get in to today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the My Greek Island podcast, dedicated to take you, the wanderlust, on a journey through Greece.
There are 227 inhabited Greek islands. Which one will you visit next?
My Greek Island, with your hosts George and Maria.
So I think we've talked enough about the beaches, even though it's probably our favourite topic other than food and drink. So let's look at some of the activities that you can get up to on the island. So first on the to-do list, and a must, would be, everyone recommended it to us, we knew we were going to do it, is the cruise trip. And I think it's something we would recommend to anyone going to Astypalaia, is that they have to find a day to do it. And one thing I would recommend, I don't know if you're going to cover it, but sorry if you are, is that try and organise it early on in your trip, because sometimes it can get windy. So you want to make sure you go on the day that is probably the least windy. Yeah. So don't leave it to the last day.
Yeah, definitely, because if you do get wind, then you're just not going to go. So try and, schedule it early in on your trip so that you do get to go, because it definitely is the top activity that we're going to recommend. And everyone just kept telling us, everyone kept telling us that we need to do it. And we were like, what are they all on about? And then it was like, it's just a boat trip. Like, okay, but it was definitely epic. So we are also recommending it. Now, you've got multiple options to choose from, and those options will depend on, like, for example, how many people are going to be on the boat. So there's various boats. There's more private boats, which I think are up to 10 people. Then there's some that are up to 30, and then there's some a bit more. So like you can ask them which boats, how many, the number of people. Some of the boats offer lunch. Others just offer, like, for example, the one we chose was just fruit in the afternoon and water, and had like water and coffee options. So depending on what you choose with respect to number of people and meals catered for or not, that will also dictate the price of the cruise trip. So just make sure that you choose the option that works for you. In either case, though, the prices are extremely reasonable for what is offered, and you can buy the tickets at various spots in Chora. And we bought our ticket a day before. I imagine that if you go in the peak mid-August, you probably want to buy your tickets more than a day before. But just keep that in mind. So all of them are sort of like doing the same. They all do the same route, and they all leave at approximately the same times. But instead of us talking about this and telling you where they go, etc., why don't we actually head over and listen to some of the live recordings that we took while we were on this boat? So we're going to head over and we're going to listen to some snippets of me and George, and also talking to Roussos, who is one of the crew members of one of the boats, which is called Perla Cruises, which does this trip. So let's head over and listen to them.
Recording live from
the boat trip. We've just started. It's quite windy, and the views are already epic. And we're on like a sailing boat, and Maria's already falling asleep. Are you?
No, I'm not falling asleep. I'm wide awake and ready for the boat trip, George. How about you?
Are you going to get your drone out?
I'm definitely getting the drone out, but after we have stopped at one of the islands or the beaches.
Hi guys, Maria here. Now, did I fly the drone in the end? Keep listening to find out. But also, where did we go?
We're actually visiting two islands and one cave or a gorge.
Yes, the cave is on the island of Astypalaia, whereas the other two are islands that are in close proximity to Astypalaia. Do you remember the names?
Κουτσομίτη, Κουνούπα and Κόκκινος Γκρεμός.
Well done.
Now, clearly we were chit-chatting with a few people on the boat, so let's head over to the stop Kunuba and meet Lefteris.
Okay, so we were on the boat trip. We've just made a stop at Kunuba, and we have met someone on the boat trip who's actually going to share his how he came to Astypalaia, what he's doing here, what he recommends about the island. So, what's your name and where do you come from?
Hi, my name is Lefteris and I'm from Nafplio.
Now, at the time of that recording, we actually had no idea that our episode prior to Astypalaia was going to be about Nafplio. So funny. Anyway, heading back to hear more from Lefteris.
And why are you in Astypalaia?
I'm for working, but the first time I came for vacation.
Oh, okay. So, how would you describe Astypalaia? Why do you like it?
I describe it as a quiet island and it makes you relax so much.
I think Maria and I like relax, don't we?
Well, I definitely like to relax, although you've been relaxing quite a lot on this trip, George, haven't you?
I have been relaxing a lot. What are the good things? What should tourists see if they come to Astypalaia?
Visitors.
Yeah, a lot of things like the castle, some churches that it has.
Which churches?
Which churches?
Mary Virgin Portaitisa.
Where is it?
It's down of the castle.
Very nice.
Have we seen that church? Have we seen that church, George?
We haven't done many churches, to be fair, but yeah. And today you're on the cruise with us. Is this the first time you're on the cruise?
Yeah, it's the first time.
Okay. And are you enjoying it?
Yeah, of course.
And you've been taking lots of pictures of yourself?
Of course, yeah.
Now, huge thanks to Lefteris for that. And we should probably feature him on the Instagram account, to be honest. He really did take some epic pictures that day. But anyway, to finish off, let's head over and meet one of the crew members of Perla Cruises, which was the trip that we took, and have a bit of a chat.
Right, so we've just finished our daily cruise with the boat called Perla in Astypalaia, and George is about to interview one of the key members of staff called Roussos, who is a local hero, has been born and raised in Astypalaia. Over to George.
Yes, we're so excited to have been on the epic cruise. So, Roussos, welcome to the podcast.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm fine.
So we've just been on an amazing cruise. Can you tell us a bit about Perla Cruises and what you offer?
So, Perla Cruises is a boat that makes daily trips to two islands and one beach on the main island. You will start from the main port at 11 o'clock at the morning. You will come back at 6 o'clock at the evening. You will make 3 stops, Kunupa, Kutsomitis and Red Rock. It's 3 must-see beaches where you will go and you will think that you are in a different place from Greece.
I would say some of the locations visited were like paradise, verified. Maria, what did you think?
Oh, 100%.
The Red Rock has a really cool cave that you can swim in, but you have to be a bit careful, don't you?
Yes, you must be a bit careful. So when it's a little bit windy, you must be aware of the wind and of the waves.
The waves, yeah, and there's a bit of a current. So as we do on all our episodes, at the end we always have the daily daily Greek word of this episode. And today we're going to give it over to Roussos to give us his Greek word for this episode, which will be
Krouaziéra.
Krouaziéra, which means cruise. And for our listeners, what would be the one activity they must do when they visit Astypalaia?
The must-do activity on Astypalaia is the daily cruise to the island.
You are from the island, from Astypalaia. Can you tell our listeners what your favorite beach on the island is?
My favorite beach on the island is Kaminakia, which is a special beach because in the one side it's with rocks and on the other side it's with sand.
Very, very nice. And finally, Maria and I both love food. So what is a typical or your favorite dish that we should try on the island?
A typical dish in the island is the stuffed lamb. We say here in Greece labrianos. And it's perfect.
I think as we're recording, we haven't actually tried it yet, but we're going to try and find it before we leave. So thank you very much for taking us on the boat trip today. Thank you for being on the podcast, and hopefully we can come again.
You are welcome to come again. Thank you very much for the interview, and have a nice evening.
Thank you very much.
Now back to boring London.
Yeah, I mean the memories of like that day are so vivid, and I remember we were like quite nervous doing the interview. We were like, right, we just need to like be extroverted now and take the interview.
Yeah, but anyway,
like when is the right moment? So yeah, great experience.
Closing remarks. Let's talk about some closing remarks. George, any closing remarks you want to add to this trip?
I think the cave experience was mentioned at Red Rock. I think a theme of this thing, maybe that's why we didn't do as much, is that once again it was quite funny because I was quite tired on this trip, but you were sleeping again in the tent on the Kunuba Island, and I went exploring the little sort of the little area when we got dropped off at Kunuba Island. However, my highlight was swimming in Kutsomiti, which is one of the stops that they mentioned, which the seas are beautiful. It's just literally like Caribbean, but Greece. It's just so clear and blue.
Yeah, the waters were amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Very nice. And there was an unfortunate event as well. Which
it was so windy. Yeah, it was so windy that the wind literally threw the drone on the rock when we were at Red was it Red Rock Cave?
Red Rock, yeah.
Yeah.
When it was the first stop.
Yeah. So
R.I.P. drone.
I drowned the drone. The drone died and it did not resurrect. Well.
So other activities or things that you can get up to. The first one, very, very worth visiting, sunrise or sunset, is the Venetian Castle. It's not hard to miss because it's right at the top of Chora.
You can't miss it.
We went there at both sunset and sunrise.
And you can definitely go at other times as well. And there are stuff to see in the castle, but I think the most epic moments of the day are sunset and sunrise. Of course, sunset, as always, is much, much busier. And it's probably one of the few spots that you can see the sunset from the island. Which, building on that, I would also say visit the old mill, which again, especially at sunset, is epic. We went there and we got some amazing pictures. The views are also exceptional from there. Although I do want to caveat that on a windy day, it is very windy at the old mill.
Yes. And one thing I wanted to mention about the sunrise and the sunset, one thing we did notice in Astypalaia, which was unfortunate, but it is what it is. There isn't really a beach where you can watch the sunset on, because the beaches that you need to do that, some of them are on the west side and you can't really access them. So there's no sunset vibes at beach sunset vibes. So
yeah, you do have sunrise vibes though, George.
You have sunrise, amazing sunrise, but you don't get the sunset. But from the Venetian Castle, you do. So whilst you're visiting the Venetian Castle, you are going to be wandering the streets around the castle, and that's also very, very nice. So make sure you check out all the little roads or little streets that come off, because you might end up finding a perfect spot for pictures. And it was really nice to wander around. And some areas are like really, really quiet.
For pictures and also meals, I'd say there's some little hidden
gems
spots for having dinner. And then as you're wandering these streets, make sure to visit the churches around the island. So one is Panagia Portaidissa, which you can't miss it. It's next to the castle, and it's quite an interesting church. It's sort of like has a bit of an underground, has a basement kind of section in the church. It's a very beautiful church. And then Megali Panagia, which is also next to Kastropa and next to the castle, where we got some amazing footage at sunrise, where a cat where a cat just wanted to, play with the drone and come in our footage.
And,
do you remember what that cat was
the
called?
Cat's mother?
Yeah, the cat's owner.
I can't remember.
I don't remember. We need to message her. Yeah, but yeah, we've got some amazing pictures there.
But there was like a little festival vibe going on in that church, because we met these older ladies that were like literally like living their best life. They'd come from like North Greece on a ferry, on a coach, and then they were walking up this hill to get to this church where there was like a little event going on, and we were showing them around
there was
like
a
how
concert.
to get to it.
There was going to be a
concert.
Yeah, which we didn't manage to go to. Yeah, and we ended up helping them up because they'd lost their way.
We did.
We took them.
The next one I would love to have done, but we couldn't find it, is the cave on Paralia Vates, so caves to Negru, but you'd only go there with a guide if you can find one. The gentleman down at the bar did try and guide us, and was like, he was actually looking out for us from the beach, but it's very, very hard to find, so go with a guide.
And I'd also
you
add
might risk
that
not finding it.
I'd also add that it's not just hard to find,
It's not an easy way up.
It's not just that, George. It could be dangerous to go without a guide.
Yeah.
To get into the caves, you have to go through a hole. You need a flashlight. You need appropriate shoes. So it's not something we would recommend to do without a guide. And after having gone up that mountain halfway, I personally would not recommend it without a guide. Mm-hmm. Okay, moving on. Next activity that you can do is for those runners. I found a route that sort of worked for me because there's a lot of uphill and downhill. So the best route, which is about 3.5 kilometers, is running from Chora to the port. It's a great run. It's a gradual decline, so it's not an intense decline. And it is an amazing and epic run in the morning for those runners. And then you can walk back up to Chora through the stairs and have an amazing breakfast in Chora. So just plugging that as well. George was not running this year.
Yeah,
it was
and
just
it's the holiday. I was not running this year. I was chilling. So yeah, you surpassed my running this year, which is great. And you can give the running tips. The final one, and this is specifically if you're there towards the end of August, which we were. 28th of August, there's a festival at Aegean Giannis Church. We actually were having our beauty sleep at this time and missed out. However, everyone was raving about it. Yeah, it's a must, and even the villagers say.
It started very late though, didn't it? And
it starts very late, and it goes on till like 7 a.m., which, like most of these Panigiri or Panigiri, which is like a festival or like local event, ask if you are there at this time, ask locals for more details. And because when I looked online with some of my limited research specifically to this, I think the municipality might put on some buses for people to get there and back, but do check out with locals if you're there and don't have a car and you do want to go on the 28th of August, because it's definitely something that's going to it's very authentic, and it's going to be a very cool experience to live. So gutted we didn't do it.
Yeah, and probably better if you do take a bus, because the road is a dirt road to go to.
Yeah, and it's going to be dark.
And it's going to be dark, and plus there's probably going to be drinking. So if there is an alternative way for you to get there, probably the wise choice.
Yeah. Now, one thing we did do a lot of in Astypalaia, as we do in most places, which is ironic, I would say, because before we left, you were like, I think we should have breakfast, and then for lunch we should just take some like fruit and just like snack on fruit at the beach all day. And I was like, okay, that's cool by me, but we ended up eating 3 meals.
Did we? I thought we weren't really having lunch. We were having breakfast and we were having a good dinner.
Yeah, but we did have some lunch. like a few times. It definitely was not fruit all the way through the day.
No, absolutely,
yeah,
definitely. No, and there was a lot of biscuits from the
exactly.
the bakery
And there
as
was
well.
like pizza, bakery stuff. So anyway, I think the last days, we.
But having
we're
said
out for
that, I
lunch
might
with
not
them.
have had the fruit, but this is the first year that I drank a lot of fresh juice.
You did.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that came from because I don't usually drink juice, but for some reason this year, I tried an orange juice one morning in Astypalaia and it was just so good. I was having one every single morning. But yeah, anyway. But I think the overall comment on food, as being the foodie between the two of us, is that you actually can't go wrong when it comes to food. We had great meals practically everywhere. However, I do want to caveat that most places are quite rustic and with simple traditional cuisine. So if you're expecting for like some gourmet options that you can find on islands, you will find it, but it's not the norm. Like most places are quite simple. However, some places will do some very special recipes of their own, which will send your taste buds through the roof. And another thing is that you will notice that these restaurants everywhere, they just make everything with just so much love. And I was really impressed. Like we went for breakfast one morning and the woman had written on George's omelette Kalimera with some type of sauce. It was so
It's
sweet.
on our stories, so you can see it on Instagram.
Yeah, and she'd made smiley faces with the vegetables on your omelette, which was super cute. So everyone puts a lot of love into feeding their guests that come to their restaurants, which is really nice. And another thing that I'm just going to say is that there are exceptionally high ratings on Google Maps for many of these places. And when George mentioned it to one of the restaurants we were at, they had no idea. Like,
I think, was it this one that had the 5.5 or 4.9 or something?
4.9, yeah.
And you're like, that never happens.
Yeah.
Obviously does, but...
Oh, definitely. And I mean, there's loads of places that sort of like all day kind of places where you can go for breakfast or you can go for lunch or even dinner or even stop for a bit of a drink or a bit of a coffee and play a game. But then there's other places where you can sort of like go more exclusively for dessert and your eyes are going to pop out with the amount of dessert options. And I'm just going to pause here because I want George to tell us an interesting story about Astypalaia and desserts for all of those sweet tooths.
Yes, so because, we have a sweet tooth and we do like an afternoon dessert. One thing we quickly realised on the island, I think it was like day 2, is they have a lot of millefeuille, which is like, how would we describe a millefeuille for people that don't know what it is? I didn't think about this. It's a sweet dessert with layers of phyllo pastry and cream in the middle, and there's loads of varieties of millefeuille, and it's a French patisserie sort of dessert. So I was like, I don't understand, like, what is the obsession? So when we went to Maltesana, we went to a sweet shop where I think it's where it originates from, and I asked the owner, like, what is the affiliation with millefeuille? And the owner said, well, we started making it however many years ago. It caught on and then everyone else started making it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it's like the traditional one that you'd be used to eating in like France or stuff, the people that do it like how it's meant to be done traditionally, but that's how they name it. And they have lots of different local flavors, but the theme is you will eat a lot of millefeuille.
Yeah, so instead of it being like the layers, it's got the phyllo pastry on the top and the bottom, and then in the middle it's just got some type of filling. And you've got so many different types of options of that filling. So it could be like dark chocolate with orange, or I don't know what, vanilla, or blah blah blah. Like, and
there was lots of flavors.
It's just so many different flavors. So
and it's just random because it all kind of looks. It's all sort of the same of the same but different, basically.
Yeah, they were.
But it was still nice.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to food, I just want to tie it back to what we spoke about at the beginning of the episode, which is the vibe of the island. And when I specifically spoke about the community feel of the island, and that is something that you're going to see in the restaurants as well, like this community feel. So there's going to be definitely places that you're going to head back to more than once, not just because of the great food, but because of this community feel and the vibe. And if you're lucky, like I was, you will leave this island with some new friends. And one of the specific places that we visited, which you really feel the community vibe, no matter what time you go during the day or night, is a place called To Kafeneio to Mouggou. Now, I'm first going to plug here that I would definitely head back and listen to the episode on the Bite-Sized Greek series about the Kafeneio, where we talk about what a Kafeneio is, which literally translates to coffee house, but that's not really what it is. So listen to that Bite-Sized Greek episode and find out more about Kafeneio. But to learn more about To Kafeneio to Mouggou, I'm not going to tell you. Let's head over and listen to a snippet of an interview that we did with the owner, Giannis, and learn a backstory about To Kafeneio to Mouggou.
So we understand that you were not born originally in Astypalaia, but you have a heritage from the island, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And so could you tell us a bit about your memories of the island as a child?
Both my parents are from here. They grown here, and they left when they were like 18 years old. So they had all my families from Astypalaia actually, and my grandparents and cousins and all the relatives there. They were living here. So my memories actually is when the school was over, like 1st of June, I was coming here with my grandparents and I was staying here like for 3 months.
Wow.
So it was the ideal childhood. I mean, it was my memories from my childhood are from here.
And I mean, I think one of your grandparents was the owner of this historic Kafeneio.
He was the owner, but he never ran it.
He never ran it. But
No.
then a few years back, you decided to come to Astypalaia and run the business. What drew you to come back and do that?
The thing is that as actually I'm an architect, so this building was a challenge for me. This is a preserved, listed building from the Ministry of Culture because it is one of the buildings that was built actually in 1935, and from that time till now, it runs like a Kafeneio, like it's the only one that.
So just to tell our listeners, Kafeneio effectively does mean coffee shop, but when we record the episode, we will analyze it with George because Kafeneio for the Greeks is more than just a coffee shop, right?
Yeah, it's a place of
community, of coming together, nibbling, drinking, eating, breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks. It sort of combines that community feel where you can just chit-chat. So, yeah.
And it's also very evident when you come to this Kafeneio. There's lots of locals coming in and out. Everyone knows each other. There's a real sense of community. Do you find that?
Yeah. And it's even it's the spot actually because it's in the middle of the Hora. It's everybody passes from here.
Everyone passes by.
Yeah.
I mean, we passed by like 4 times yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, and we know that Kafeneio has a backstory and a bit of a history. So can you tell us a bit about its history?
This Kafeneio, it was from the 80s when Astypalaia started having tourism, let's say. Even it wasn't known, but many tourists, they were like visiting at the 80s and in the beginning of 90s. At that time, the Kafeneio was not the owner. The person that running was a deaf man, which was very communicative. I mean, he was really a very nice person and very,
warm-hearted.
Yeah, and
even
though he couldn't speak and he couldn't
he was
hear,
also mute. He wasn't just deaf; he was also mute.
he was, very
What's the word you want to say in Greek?
Κοινωνικός.
So he was very...
He was very sociable, charming.
Yeah.
An extrovert, liked to meet people.
So during the summer, it was this Kafeneio. It was the main spot that the locals and the tourists they would come.
gather.
Yeah, and there was, you know, they would get to know each other, and they were having fun here, dancing. You know, they were having like nights with drinks and
Living their best life in Astypalaia.
yeah. So here in Astypalaia, they were calling him Mouggou, which is not the politically correct way to
say
address
mute.
a person which has this disability. But it was okay at the time. I mean, it was, and the Kafeneio became, as a name, became To Kafeneio to Mouggou, the coffee shop of
the person that can't talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not politically correctly.
Yes.
But
Well, I mean, the most politically correct word now to use is mute. However, you told us a very interesting story about how this person would communicate with the tourists.
yeah, because he was very, interesting. He came from Germany or he came from Italy, but they couldn't communicate about it. I mean, he couldn't understand the words. So he put a map on the wall, and we still have it here, even though it's not the original one. But this map became like
Could it be like a centerpiece of the Kafeneio?
orosimo. How do you say?
Orosimo. 1 second, we'll Google
Yeah.
it. A landmark, a milestone. So it was a landmark in the coffee shop.
In the coffee shop, because it was he was very interested. He was asking, "Where are you from?" So anyone could show him
point
that.
on the map.
Yeah. So I'm from Italy. So
Point to Italy.
yeah. And even not only the tourists, even the people, the locals, that they are, most of them, they were like captains, or they were
Or
like
they would travel the world.
So when they were coming back from the trip, they come. I went there and there and there. So it was a start of a conversation with that person, and it was. Yeah.
It's amazing how he found a way to communicate with the locals and with the tourists.
And I think you have a picture of the original map on your phone,
which it is destroyed now because of all these years, and
And also, when you restored the building, because you're an architect by nature, you restored the building. You've actually got a map on the wall now, which it looks quite old, but it's probably not as old.
It's the same map, but
it's the same map.
because I found it in an old bookstore, and I was really happy.
Is it open in the winter as well as the
Yes,
summer?
it's open all year long.
All year round.
And you're here all year?
Yeah.
Amazing. So can you tell our listeners what they can actually enjoy in this Kafeneio? What can they look forward to if they come to the island? What food, what drinks do you serve?
It's a place we try to maintain this traditional Kafeneio, even though originally the Kafeneios in Greece, they wouldn't serve as much as we serve now. It was like more simple, coffee and some little sweets like lukumi, and some meze with the drinks, which was very simple. Nowadays, for the needs, I mean, for the tourists, and it became like more a small, not restaurant, tapas. I mean, it's like small plates.
Mezedes.
Yeah.
Mezedes, yeah.
Nice.
So it's a place that you can come and became all one group of people that they enjoy, because it's a small Kafeneio. I mean, it's a small place, and when the people are like enjoying themselves here, they became like one group of people.
Yeah, you can. And also, on the topic of community, as My Greek Island, we like to do a bit of our research, and we have seen, so you have to tell us if it's true or not, that sometimes that you have parties here, or is there
it's
live music? It gets quite lively.
Live music, yes, sometimes we do that.
Yeah.
We do that. But there are like very live not lively lively people, and some nights it's really strong.
Some heavy parties
Yeah.
going on.
We're usually in bed by 11 o'clock, so we've missed
So
it.
effectively, you can come. There's not going to be. I imagine it's not going to be super heavy parties, but effectively, people will engage in singing,
dancing on the tables.
Dancing on the table. Maria,
yeah,
we've
yeah.
been sleeping on the job.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we had lots of that.
Yeah. I mean, so all year round, you can come any time in the day, during the evening, in the afternoon, at night time, and you can enjoy and connect. And top tip, you can also have quite deep discussions in this Kafeneio, right? It's a place, it's an inclusive Kafeneio where you can have interesting discussions. I mean, we have spent two of our mornings literally chit-chatting with Giannis. So make sure you look for Giannis when you come back to Astypalaia. Top tip, right?
Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So once again, a huge thank you to Giannis for taking the time to actually talk to us that day and, you know, sharing all of that information. It was so interesting to chat with him on all levels. And I can't express enough gratitude for meeting this person and actually interacting with him and him showing us, you know, that real community feel of Astypalaia. But anyway, let's get back into the end of the episode and wrap up and give you like some final remarks and some top tips. Right. I mean, just some closing remarks. I was so touched by the story with the guy that was running the Kafeneio previously, and in which the name of the Kafeneio has been in his honor, which is the Kafeneio του Mouggou, because this person was mute. I loved the story with the map. I mean, both of us were just like, wow, it's just so amazing.
And it was quite nice to be recording on location. We really channeled our location recording this time.
And I will
share. And we've got videos.
We'll do. I will share a reel of us chatting with Gianni in front of the map, so everyone can see. We did share it on one of the stories while we were there, but I'll probably turn it into a reel and just reshare it.
And if you do go there and take part in some of their more wilder parties that they have, which I've been, he did say there is sometimes it can go, you're not going to go lively, wild, but it gets lively. That's the
where
word.
people will sing,
make sure you let us know.
Sing and dance and etc. But amazing. Should we move on?
Yeah, let's wrap up because it's there. Yeah. So before we say goodbye, adios, I think we're going to bring back our little quick fire round of favorite things we did on the island. So let's kick off with our favourite meal.
Are you going to go first or should I?
Yeah, I'll go first. So my favourite meal, I don't know what yours is. It might be the same. I don't have sight of what you've written on this occasion. I would say is this spicy seafood pasta that we had in Livadia, which actually wasn't too spicy. The lady was like, are you okay with spice? We're like, yeah, we can do it. Even I am getting used to spice. And we had it and we were like, could have been spicier.
Yeah. It was funny because we said to her, we will, she said, do you like spicy? And we're like, yeah, we do like spicy. And then, but I think we said, why, how spicy is it? And then she said, well, it's spicy. And yeah, we're fine, and I really eat spicy food much more than you do. And then we said to her, oh, it wasn't that spicy, it was fine. She said, oh yeah, I didn't add as much spice. So I'm very curious to see how it was, how much spicy it was, if she was to do it the way it was. So that was at Parathinalos, which is where we were staying the first couple of days. And then, which is on Livadia, the beachfront. I'm going to say the Mesodopolio in Chora, which we went back twice. Apanemia, they had some.
That's the one in the little streets.
Yeah, so that's more of a very. It's also in a very picturesque location. The little narrow streets. It's a little like restaurant, and I'm also going to add the breakfast at at To Kafeneio do Mouggou. I mean, Giannis makes these amazing eggs. It was insane. Very simple, a very simple Greek breakfast. And I was having like eggs strapazzata or, just eggs on toast and a fresh orange juice, which I really, really enjoyed to set my day.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This is quick fire, Maria, yeah?
Sorry.
What's the next one? Your favorite beach?
I think we're going to say the same one here.
Go on then.
Kaminakia.
It definitely is. Kaminaika, despite the way down, and you really was like, you briefed me like, George, do not flinch, do not make sounds when we're going down. So I put in my earphones and I was just like listening to our music, and you were like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, you told me not to flinch or not to like make
because
any sudden movements when you're driving.
So I'm going to expose you now. So we asked if the road is difficult, and someone told us it was difficult, and because I know that you panic on dirt roads in Greece, he has this tendency, which is not easy when you're the driver, to he'll do things like and you're just like, dude, stop. So I made a conscious effort to ask and look at the map and understand which parts of the road were difficult. And before we even got in the car, I told him, George, there's going to be parts of the road that are going to be difficult, and I'm not going to have you going E and ah and making noises because I don't want you to freak me out.
Yeah, it's literally what I get my mum for, because she does it in the car and I'm like, stop it.
Yeah.
And I'm the same.
But anyway.
So what was your favourite memory?
My favorite memory was the morning droning in general, like the morning droning in Livadia at the beach and at the castle at sunrise.
Oh yeah, nice. I mean, my favorite memory probably is very different. It is very different. I think it's having a bath in our room and then like
Bloody
taking
hell.
a bath.
Yeah, and being a bit of being bossy.
Flooding it. I mean, not flooding it literally. And for all of those listening, if they've seen the video on Instagram, seriously, I'm not taking myself too seriously. Like, it was more for banter. Like, I would not live that life.
It was actually very funny as well, because you were just like, Hun, can you bring me my coffee? Hun, just go away now. Hun, just leave me alone.
I was taking on that role.
You were. So, you really embraced it very well, Hun.
Yes. I think you can ask the last two.
Okay, so one thing that you wish you had did.
Okay, so there's
or
two.
Or you had
actually.
done. One thing you wish you did or had done,
so
sorry.
To go to the Panigiri, so on the 28th of August, if we were there again, because we were asleep before it even started. And then secondly, I wish we'd stayed longer.
Ah, you see, so me turning it from 5 to 7 days was definitely a good idea.
I know, it would have been 7 to 10.
Yeah, I think so. Although the Panigiri, I probably would have had to take the tent with me to have a bit of a nap at some point. I can't, I think people started heading to this Panigiri at like 11 p.m. I'm in bed by 11 p.m. I think on my side, one thing I wish I had done was explore more of the northern parts of the island. Although I think at some point and beyond, the weather did not really help us. Okay. One thing you would recommend to someone visiting Astypalaia?
Okay, if you go to Astypalaia and you do not do the boat trip, it's inexcusable unless you have like seasickness.
Yeah, that is true.
Like, that's it, basically.
Yeah, and on my side, I would say talk to the locals. Talk to the locals. You will not regret it.
I think we can wrap it up now for this episode. So if you do visit Astypalaia, which we would recommend you do, make sure you check out our Instagram page, also TikTok, for reference. And before we go, we not forget our word of the episode, which in honor of the island being the butterfly of the Aegean, we're going to give you the word for that. So the butterfly of the Aegean in Greek is η πεταλούδα του Αιγαίου. Η πεταλούδα του Αιγαίου. And it's safe to say that it's an island that truly stole our hearts. And I actually wouldn't say it's an exaggeration, because we still have very fond memories of the island, and there was so much more than meets the eye on our first impressions.
Absolutely, so true. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I actually feel that I left a piece of my heart there. and hope to go back soon and hope to see all of the amazing people that we met there again.
And you were even scoping out potential going there for your birthday in December. They were like,
I wasn't I?
Yeah, probably not going to work.
Yeah, back to the initial plan, going to Athens.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thanks everyone for listening. And get in touch and let us know what you thought about this episode because it's quite a long one. But until then, see you on the next one. Γεια σας.
Γεια σας.
Right, my Greek Islanders, this comes to the end of another episode of this podcast.
Now you know the drill. If you like this episode, share it to share the love with the My Greek Island community, where everyone is welcome. And
Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, and all that jazz, and maybe give us a little rating from wherever you're listening to us from, so you are notified every time a new episode drops. And if you have any suggestions or requests, get in touch.
And for those of you visiting Greece, don't forget to tag @My Greek Island on Instagram for a future feature. Until then, see you later, or as they say in Greek,
Ta leme.